10 things you need to know about Sasha Banks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Soheb and you're watching Wrestling Fact.
Number 10. Her cousin is Snoop Dogg. Sasha Banks is the cousin of rapper Snoop Dogg. Snoop is a WWE fan himself and he used to take his young cousin to WWE events and even took her backstage where she met the likes of John Cena. Sasha begged Snoop when she was 16 to take her backstage to WrestleMania XSIV and the Obleed. Snoop famously walked Sasha down the ramp at WrestleMania 32 while performing her theme song. Even though Sasha was unsuccessful that night, the image of Snoop accompanying her to the ring for her first WrestleMania match will live on. Number 9. Her first ring name. Sasha started her wrestling training in 2008 at Chaotic Wrestling in her native Massachusetts. Chaotic Wrestling has also had other WWE superstars like John Cena and Kofi Kingston pass through its ranks as the only woman in the class. She learned to wrestle by facing male opponents. At the time, she wrestled under the ring name Mercedes KV, which is a play on her real name Mercedes Turner Varando. She settled on the name Sasha Banks soon after joining the WWE Performance Center and is an amalgamation of two different names she'd come up with. Number 8. Her mother tried to stop her from watching wrestling. Sasha has been a wrestling fan from her teenage year, but one person who doesn't always a wrestling fan was her mother. Sasha's mother used to ask her to switch off the television when she caught Sasha watching wrestling as a youngster. This led to Sasha watching matches in her brother's room and on his television instead, away from her mother's eyes. Sasha recently revealed that her mother is far more tolerant towards wrestling nowadays, with her daughter one of the biggest stars in the current generation of the industry, and even calls her up after matches, especially if Sasha was on the losing end. Number 7. Favorite wrestlers. It's well documented that Sasha's favorite wrestler of all time is the late great Eddie Guerrero. Sasha has spoken of her love for Eddie on the numerous occasions and has paid homage to him on quite a few occasions. Sasha was coincidentally also in attendance at Eddie's memorable episode of Raw on November 14, 2005 in a main policy, and has revealed that she was unaware of Guerrero's death before she arrived at the arena. As far as female wrestlers are concerned, even though she was a hug fan of Trish Stratus and Molly Holly, her all-time favorite female wrestler is Japanese legend Akira Hokuto. Number 6. Asian pop culture nerd. Sasha appeared on Xavier Woods' YouTube gaming channel Up Up Down Down earlier this year that she's hug Asian pop culture nerd, especially Korean pop culture, and has named Rian and G-Dragon as some of her favorite musicians. Sasha is also a hug anime fan and cites Japanese anime series Sailor Moon as one of her favorite shows, especially citing the Selena character. Even Sasha's love for wrestling began in the
Far East as she grew up a hug fan of all Japan women's pro wrestling, which had a much more hitting style than divas of WWE past. Number 5. Sasha weighed 99 pounds when she started training. Even now, Sasha Banks is one of the smaller women amongst WWE women's wrestlers. Sasha recently revealed she weighed just 99 pounds when she began training. So imagine how much smaller Sasha was back then. She first learned how to take bumps and such like. Sasha has also revealed that she only began proper strength training and lifting weights after signing with WWE and joining the WWE Performance Center.
Number 4. Her favorite trainer was Norman Smalley. Sasha signed for WWE in 2012, soon after a successful tryout, and hasn't looked back since. During her time at the Performance Center, she has been under the wings of some of the most talented names in the pro wrestling industry, including the late Dusty Rhodes, Joy Mercury, and Sarah Amito, who has helped usher in the area of women's wrestling in the WWE. However, Sasha's favorite trainer at the Performance Center was former WCW Cruiserweight Champion Norman Smalley. Although Smalley was never a big name during his wrestling career, he was taken off coaching by storm and is one of the most popular trainers at the WWE Performance Center. Number 3. Married to a WWE seamstress, Sasha Banks broke the hearts of countless fans when she married Sarah Tone earlier this year in a private ceremony. Tone is a former wrestler turned WWE seamstress and custom designer who will be familiar to Up Down Down fans as Mike Z. Sarah Tone started off as an independent wrestler under the name Kit Mike Z before moving on to designing the costumes of several WWE superstars, including his wife Sasha Banks. Speaking of custom design, number 2. Ring outfits inspired by Beyonce, Eddie and others. Sasha Banks looks stunning both inside and outside the ring and has some incredible ring gear to boot. What fans might not know is that Sasha's ring gear is often based on her influence and others. While originally looking for inspiration, Sasha was intentionally inspired by pop star Beyonce, with Sasha admiring the way in which Beyonce always turned heads wherever she wants. Her attire wanted to heavy bling and diamonds, accompanied by her shades, which helped Sasha stand out from alongside the crowd. For her Iron Woman match against Bayley at NXT TakeOver Respect, Sasha got her attire that night to look like stuff they originally wore in the Indies, and is a throwback to the earlier days of her career. As for WrestleMania debut earlier this year in Dallas, Sasha's got a costume inspired by her hero Eddie Guerrero. Number 1. One of the first women to main event a Raw since 2004, Sasha Banks and Charlotte main evented Raw last week when Charlotte faced off with Sasha defending her WWE Raw Women's Championship. Sasha and Charlotte put on a spectacular match that was more than worthy of its spot in the card, with Sasha leaving with the title on the night after forcing Charlotte to tap out to the Banks statement. In the process, Sasha and Charlotte become the first woman to main event an episode of since Trish Stratus and Lita faced off for Raw for the Women's Championship 12 years ago in the 2004.